All right, we got a special episode of Putting You in Your Place today. I guess we'll just call these special editions, the ones that we kind of do on the fly, or we see a necessary reason to do a new show that's not on schedule. And today's kind of a big day. Skye is moving on to bigger pastures, and I want him to kind of share with everybody kind of like where he's going and what he's doing. And then me and him are just going to kind of reminisce on some things that we've accomplished and the time we've had together. You know, I have a hard time like mapping out and remembering how much time people have been in my life or dates that are, you know, in the past. Like, how long have you been here?
I think since towards the end of 2018. Like, I would have guessed wrong as well.
Yeah.
It was just like I was going through and organizing files for like the next person who comes in, and I saw stuff dated for 2018, and I was like, wait, really?
How can that much time go by?
Yeah, no,
it's wild.
It's unbelievable, yeah.
So tell us what you're gonna, like, you know, tell us a little bit. Like, I don't even know the company name. I don't know like where you're headed and like exactly. We've had some conversations, but I don't know exactly what you're going to be doing. I want to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, you said bigger pastures. I mean, bigger for now, but the way this place is going, it's only a matter of time before this place is bigger than that place, right?
Well, you know, I knew our time was limited. Mm-hmm. Number one, I knew I was going to lose you to someone that had an ability to pay you more, ability to challenge you in a little bit more, you know, a way that you wanted to be challenged. You know, like I thought some of the content maybe we were doing wasn't like right up your like alley of like, you know, what you went to school for and what you've trained your life for and what actually your passion is. I didn't think real estate was going to fit that for very long anyway.
Yeah.
And, you know, and just honestly, I felt like you were getting less and less and less. And like, I was just looking at your hours over time and you were doing less hours and less hours. And it was slowly trickling down until it was like, man, I need more hours. Yeah. And I was going to have a conversation with you to be like, dude, like, come closer. Don't go further away. But you know, it's funny the dynamic between boss and employee, you know, or employer and employee. And I just felt like we were getting further apart that way. So I kind of felt like something was coming one way or the other.
Yeah, no, I think I kind of I felt bad because I wasn't enjoying the work as much. And like when I first started working here, like I was putting in, there were days where I worked like 10 hours in addition to being like a full-time student, but I would like still come in here and work like 10-hour days and that sort of thing. And that was when I was getting paid way less. And like I sort of proved myself and worked my way up. But then, a lot more recently, I was just getting like tired and it felt like repetitious. And I don't know. I'm not really entirely sure. Because if I knew the reason, I probably would have tried to fix it. But really, I just kind of started to feel bad because like, it feels bad like coming in and working really slowly and getting paid like as much as I was getting paid when like, you know, a year ago I was working way harder and getting paid less. And yeah, I felt bad that you weren't getting as much out of me as like you really deserved. So
yeah. And you know, I told you this before, but I appreciate anybody aware enough because I have a hard time wanting to let people go. Mm-hmm. You know, like I love the people that have chosen me, you know, and like, you know, the relationship we've had, you know, like you've seen me have it and lose it all and then have it again.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you could have rode this mountain with me as long as you wanted to. Yeah. But the moment you knew you needed to get off, your willingness to get off of that, I appreciate that. Yeah. You know, and like I didn't want to have to like start putting like the pressure that I'm going to need to put on you to deliver the things that we needed. I didn't want to have to start really doing that, you know?
It took me a while to like come to that decision because I really did enjoy like the time working here. Like looking back at like what the podcast looked like when we first started. Yeah. Like, see if I can find my mouse here. Like look at how terrible that looks. Yeah. Like we've come like such a long way, and like even these like last final months, it was like, well, like am I really sure? And I really had to think about it. right up until like the minutes right before I gave you my like letter of resignation, like you came in here and we're getting ready for the meeting, and you weren't like getting on me like, man, you're really behind on stuff, or you're slowing down. You were like, hey, is there any personal projects that you're working on that you could use help with?
Yeah.
Like, whoever comes here next is going to be so lucky, because that's an amazing boss to have, one who like notices that you're not like as dedicated as you should be, and rather than like cracking down on you for it, they're just like, hey, whatever it is that like you are spending your time on, like, can I help? Like, can I like empower you and raise you up? And it's really cool because like in like a lot of the early episodes, I was like rewatching them. You were talking all about how like what you really want to do here is you really want to like lift people up, even from like episode 2 or 3 or something like that. You're talking about that, and it's cool 40 episodes later that like it's still the same thing.
Yeah.
Like you're still like bringing in local
I
people.
wasn't just parroting things that I've heard and not doing them.
Yeah.
So like I'm trying to live a very thoughtful, meaningful life for others, you know, and you know, I get emotional about that sometimes. And seeing that, you know, all the debate and all of the hard work that we put in, it just makes me proud. Like you set up a tremendous foundation for us, and
well, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
it's surreal because I feel like I learned in some regards with production. I feel like I learned way more here than I ever did at college, because like there I was, like I think I was a junior in college at that point, and it looked like that, and now we have like this, and it wasn't the college classes that taught me that. It was like you will be being willing to like invest in like me and in like your ideas, and holy shit.
Yeah. I think you were probably in the moment being like, dude, what is this guy doing? Like you know, like my willingness to just like, you know, whatever it is, do it. Like I felt like, you know, you helped me stay grounded on like, okay, man, like you're out of control. And like you helped challenge me to get serious about one thing, you know, and like, hey man, like you shoot so much stuff at me. I can't handle it. You know, like we need to divide and conquer.
Yeah.
And like you really help lay that down to like get me focused and keep me a little bit closer to the ground. I wouldn't say grounded, but I would say keep me closer to the ground.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. I like what's interesting is like throughout like all this time you've come forward with like so many different ideas, like nacho reviews, and like you want to do like diners and dives and all sorts, like doing like crazy ideas. And then I was going back and watching some of the first episodes, and like even though you had all these other ideas, like your vision for this didn't really change that much. Like I was saying, you were talking right in the beginning, like, yeah, I want to lift people up. And do you know which episode you first mentioned Joe Rogan in?
No.
It's episode 1.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Like it was so cool because like yesterday's podcast, you were like, yeah, I want to be like the Joe Rogan of the New River Valley. And then I was watching like episode 1 earlier, and it was like, yeah, like we just gonna copy Joe Rogan, and we kind of want to be like him. And I'm like, wow, like episode 1, episode 41, same vision. Like we had all sorts of crazy ideas. We were like doing talking about like, you know, like stock market at one point, and like Tesla and that sort of thing. But yeah, the kind of like the format that you chose, like, yeah, it's crazy to see how it like just built and built and built.
Yeah. And that it's just action.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like we talked about it, we debated about it, we invested in it, and we're doing it.
Yeah.
And you'll always have credit to, you know, wherever this goes. Like what's going to be devastating is if this actually hits and like becomes something special, and then you don't, and then you're not here for it.
I mean, it's already taking off. Like you got like local leaders like who like want to be on here. What's her name? Who's running for office?
Well, Tanya was here yesterday.
Tanya, but
you know, and we want Marie. You know, Marie March is the more political, like the more polarizing figure, you know, like the person that everybody knows and has made a decision on already.
Yeah.
You know, like we want to get Marie March in here when she feels like it's appropriate.
Yeah, I mean, she wanted to be on here, and then polls came out that like she was doing really well. And I think the reason that she's not coming on here right away is because she's like, she realizes that this podcast like is does have enough eyes on it that she's like, oh, I don't want to like make a fool of myself, like live
Yeah.
live podcasting sounds.
So I mean, that is emotional, and you can wreck. You can, like what I do every week is risky. It's risky.
Yeah.
Like I could say something that that equals me with less opportunities. The goal and the gamble is that I'm going to do this and I'm going to have more opportunities because more people are going to get to see me and get to know me. But if I come out with something that exposes something about myself that the general public doesn't like or appreciate, then I risk everything.
Right.
So every week I risk everything to do this. I risk everything for the what we've been coached into is trying to get attention. And I'm not shame. I have no shame. I have no shame when it comes to me saying I am after your attention. I'm after you knowing who I am. I'm after you caring about me. I want people to gravitate toward me because they like me. I don't want them to show up because they hate me, even though I know that's going to happen too.
Yeah.
And it's kind of entertaining for me, like the last, yesterday's video, there's I got a troll. I got an actual troll now that like goes into the comment section and just like does nothing but criticize me, so like I understand the ramifications of our actions.
Well, good for you. Haters make you famous,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. So that gives us an opportunity to change a hater into somebody that will actually, maybe we can change their mind.
Yeah.
I've always come off, the majority of people don't like me initially. When they first hear about me or see me, or, I don't fit the box. I don't fit the box a lot of times in a lot of ways. But with stuff like this, they get to kind of see me and hear me, and and it's not indifferent. Indifference is the worst.
Yeah.
Like not knowing who I am is more devastating to me than if you don't like me. I would rather you don't like me than not know me.
Yeah.
So like, back to you is you've been a driving force in this. So like, I have no doubts that you'll be able to achieve whatever it was you were dreaming of, when you went to college to do what you were doing and what you thought you were capable of. There's no doubt in my mind that you'll achieve that.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And you were talking about people like being nervous about like saying the wrong thing, like on like a live podcast. And I want to say it's really interesting because I think a lot of people have to worry about that, but I don't think you do, because I think you are like so unbelievably honest. Like it wasn't until we started like filming these podcasts that I actually came to know your political affiliation. Like I worked here for a long time before that, and I had no idea. But then when like you started doing these videos, it was like, if people want to hire me, they should know who I am. And I think I really respect the hell out of that, because like most people like aren't willing to do that. Most people would rather just be careful and be like, all right, let's not talk about that. We don't want to offend anybody or that sort of thing. But you go the complete opposite way, where it's like everybody should know exactly who I am so that they don't hire me and then realize like, oh man, I hate this guy. Like, no, that takes a lot of guts.
and honestly, with the amount of people in our area, and I want to serve the whole New River Valley. I want to serve the whole New River Valley. I can't serve them all. I wish I could. That would be I would love the fact that if I was the only real estate agent in this area, other than a couple of people that I really care about that also are in the business. Right now in my life, I'm very competitive, and I don't necessarily like chum up with my competition, other than a very select few. And I think that's exactly right. I think people need to know who they're working with, and they need to kind of have the same thoughts, the same ideology in some ways, but also recognize that this is what an elite producer feels, and this is how we navigate our life, and it's also something that they can replicate. That they can look at. Okay, he was able to achieve this. He has this mindset, and he has these beliefs. And he's able to achieve his vision and his goals with these beliefs. And it's something that, like, Well, he believes that, like, and that's kind of like I'm not the super smart guy. I'm probably never the smartest guy in the room, but I'm observant and I'm patient and I'm willing to show up.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to stay longer than everybody else.
Not only that, like, first of all, smartest guy in the room, always the worst guy. Everybody hates that guy. Second of all, I'd much rather have a real estate agent who works hard than smart. Like a hard worker is worth way more than a smart worker any day in my mind.
Yeah.
Because like they're the ones who are gonna like see you through like all the way to the end and like go the extra mile and that sort of thing. So,
you know, the purpose of this was to have something that, you know, episode 1, you know, you were here from the beginning. This is your end. This is kind of like your end game here with us. For now.
yeah.
Who knows? You know, like
If it does take off, like I'm gonna have to come back, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would find a spot for you if we can get to a revenue point and that me and you can work something out. Like if there's a position for you that we can really legitimately fill and you think you can give it your all and give us the necessary hours that we want, then I would definitely welcome you back.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Part of it, honestly, is just like I'm tired of living in a college town. I mean, I'm living in Christiansburg now, but I don't know. You get tired of all your friends graduating and moving away, and then you make new ones, and then they graduate and move away, and it just. And I'm getting to the age now where it's like I don't even like college kids that much. Like I get along with them fine, but oh my gosh, every time you talk to them, you're just like, oh, there's like so much you still have to learn, and I'm one to talk, you know, but.
Yeah. Honestly, this is a devastating story. You know, like, you know, I love the stories of the people that choose our area to create a life for themselves, but I also have empathy for the people that think that they need to get away. Mm-hmm. I was the one that wanted to get away. I was the one that was like, greener pastures for sure. I'm out of here. And, you know, and I went down and tried to, you know, I moved to Florida and tried to climb the ladder of the last profession I was in before real estate, the golf business. Mm-hmm. And then I really came to understand why I love this place.
Yeah.
Is because I've got my family here, the people I love are here. I thought that this community would support me. Mm-hmm. You know, what advantages you have is you're already in a committed relationship.
Yeah.
And you get this partner to go with you, and you're not going to be lonely. Yeah. You know, and that's great. Having a partner to go with to a strange place, it's probably exciting.
Yeah.
It's probably like, man, I'm pumped that we can go do things in new areas and like discover this place and see if this is a place that we really want to call home, you know? But I encourage you to always keep the New River Valley in your mind because at some point we need our talent back. You know, like you need to go and do, you know, like our athletes and all of our talent probably has to venture out into the world at least a couple of times, if not once. But at the end of the day, we need you back. So just remember that.
Oh, yeah. No, when I like first moved here, I think I was like 10 years old when I moved to like Floyd. And then from there, I ended up moving to Blacksburg. And I remember like as a little kid, I was like, I can't stand this place. And I remember a study came out that said like Blacksburg is like in the top 5 places to like raise your kids in the United States. And I'm like, well, yeah, I bet a bunch of parents voted on it because it's like, for parents, it's great because it's super safe. But for kids, there's nothing to do. And that's changing now. But I remember I used to really resent this area, but then as I got older and older, I like totally fell in love with it. And like I could have gone to college like out of state. I could have like I got accepted to other colleges, but in the end I was like, you know, something about Blacksburg, it did really grow on me. And I've been living in Blacksburg for more than 10 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. Man, I do absolutely love it. And like I do like intend to come back here all the time. I'm excited. Like the fact that like I'm moving to somewhere that is still in Virginia has a lot to do with how much I love Blacksburg. Because when I was younger, I always thought like, man, as soon as I'm old enough, I'm going to be moving straight back up north, you know, like Massachusetts or something like that. But no, I don't think I want to live Virginia. Every time like a news article about Virginia comes out, it's always something crazy. Like, oh, like Virginia's like the first state to have like American Sign Language interpreting for like stuff to do with like vaccines and that sort of thing. Like Virginia just passed that whole thing a few months back that was like they're going to raise the minimum wage in Virginia to $15. Like The federal government's like working on that, but Virginia was ahead of them. Like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. Like, Virginia has so much good stuff going for it. And
Yeah, as far as the minimum wage thing goes, I would probably differ with you there. But the Southwest Virginia definitely holds a special place in my heart, and like that's never going to change, especially like around Montgomery County. It's just given me so much opportunity, and it's grown so much, and I feel like we can all achieve the life that we want from where we came from, like from where we spent the majority of our life. And too many people, and this was happening when you came on. Like we even did a vlog about, like, hey, there's actually things to do in the New River Valley, and so that was a cool thing to do. But I think it's just going to get more. It's just going to get better and better over time, and with all the technology companies and all the big corporations that want to surround themselves with Virginia Tech, I think that there's going to be, like, you're such a specific thing too. Like, what was your degree in at Virginia Tech?
It was video production.
So in this market, you had no opportunity, like very little opportunity, and it was such a hard thing to freelance, right?
Mm-hmm.
That like me offering this job was like the only person offering the job almost that wasn't like a newsroom.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't like some sort of fast-paced, like deadline-ish like type of company.
It's changed now, but like, when I first started working here, like it was like, do you want to work for a news agency? Do you want to work for Virginia Tech? Or like you were like the
only private sector, not non-corporation, not big conglomerate news corporation hiring people, right?
Yeah, like you and Matt working together, like, which is really cool, because when I first came in, you were talking about how you're like, YouTube's the future, like people haven't seen it yet. Video is going to be so important. And now that like we're like in the midst of like this pandemic where like video is one of the best possible ways to reach people, now there's tons of people around here hiring. Like now there's tons of people who are like, oh my gosh, why didn't we get on this train sooner?
Yeah.
And it's funny because we look way better than them because we've had like those few years to like figure out how to do stuff like this. So.
Yeah. It's wild, I contribute everything that we've got going on here to Gary V. I mean, Gary V had been in my ear for 2 years before I even got to Matt. Mm-hmm. It's funny, the progression, right? So the Young Professionals group in Blacksburg led me to Matt. Mm-hmm. Matt led me to you. You helped me find Weston. And now you're leaving us in really good hands and very organized shape for whoever's going to come in and replace your role. And in that, there's always new energy, right? There's always new excitement. Like when you go to your new job, I suspect, and I hope that you just go way deep. You give them everything that you have, and you're excited, and they know it. They feel it. They're like, whoa, dude, like, whoa, like, is this what we should expect from everybody? like that's what you need to do.
Yeah.
And just remember that. I hope you're well compensated. Like you're in a better position financially. I hope all of that. But don't get lost. I kind of feel like, I'm just being honest here with you too. I felt like maybe, when we sit down that one time and we negotiated your new pay, and we negotiated your hours and we negotiated everything, I felt like shortly after that I was just getting like what you felt to be an equal trade, and you wouldn't go any deeper. Mm-hmm. I felt that like really deeply. Mm-hmm. I felt that really deeply, and I don't blame you for that. I don't have any animosity because of that. I think that's fair. Mm-hmm. I think if that's what you felt was fair, that was what I was providing, and that was what you was willing to give, I had to take it, or I had to go do something different, and I wasn't willing to do anything different.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I would encourage you to go as deep as you possibly can. Make this a resume thing. Like you might be there for a decade, who knows? Mm-hmm. But make this a resume thing. Make this. This is the type of things I do. Mm-hmm. Not just this is what this company does.
Yeah.
Like I think that's my best advice.
Yeah.
Is give it to them. You know, like you don't have to respond at midnight. You know, like I message you at midnight. Obviously, like you don't have to do that's way above and beyond. But that's just me. Like I'm thinking, I'm in the middle of my best thoughts at about 11, 12 midnight, 1 a.m. That's when I'm at my best. Like, okay, I've got time to sit there and observe things and take a deep breath because I'm out in the field from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah.
So as I'm going through my creative process, that's just when I give it to you guys. But really jump in there and give them everything you can within reason, and don't put a dollar figure on it until you've got like legitimate reason to ask for a raise. Yeah, and then ask for a raise.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's my best employee advice is that.
Yeah.
And know that you're probably going to be underpaid for your talent, even still at this place, because I think you're very thoughtful. I think you're very attention detail oriented, more so than people would expect. And you know what you're capable of. Give them exactly what you're capable of.
Yeah.
That's
I'm really looking forward to it because a lot of what I'm doing is just managing everything.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten it's great because I'm going to be managing like an editor. I'm going to be managing a scriptwriter. I'm going to be managing like a voice actor. I'm going to be managing like an artist, and it's like these are all things that I've kind of like learned to do here.
Yeah.
So I won't just be one of those like managers who's just like, do your job. Like, and I'll tell, like, I can see that you're not being as productive as you should be, do your job. Instead, it's like, if they come to me with concerns, like I'm having trouble with this thing, I know exactly what that thing is. If they're having problems with Premiere, I know Premiere. If they're having problems
That's
with
great. That's great that you've got such experience on that, and you can be critical of their work too. Like you can really judge that with a critical eye to say, couldn't you have done a little bit? Couldn't you enhance this a little bit more, or couldn't you? I think that needs to go away. That's not exactly what's in my mind's eye. Talk about this. Help me here. You know, type thing.
It's funny. I have like enough experience that I can actually see through. I can kind of see through like some of the bullshit. Like in one of their videos when they were like selling themselves to their like potential customers, they were like, "Oh yeah, we do a high fidelity audio recording and blah 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 blah." And I'm like, high fidelity audio is like a term that was made up and popularized in the 80s to sell stereos. It doesn't actually mean anything. Like if you say, oh yeah, this thing has high fidelity, you're basically just saying like, oh, it has a sticker on it and you should buy it. So like, I was like watching that and I'm like, yeah, you said that to make it sound fancier than it is. And I'm sure like they're doing like great stuff with like their audio to make sure it's good. But you know, they're using like terms that they think like can fool people. And I, like there was like several times where they were like saying things and I'm like, come on, like they don't know, but I know.
So you just have to tell them these cultural things that you know, like this might be good for the person that has no idea what they're doing and they're just getting started, but for the people that do this, the people that are in the game, the nerds of the space, the nerds of the space are going to laugh at you.
Yeah, and I think that's fine because like if their clients were well versed enough to know those terms, then their clients probably wouldn't need to hire them.
Sure.
Because they'd like have enough knowledge to do it themselves.
Yeah.
So.
True.
But it's going to be really exciting, and like the knowledge I've gotten here, like obviously the stuff like podcasting and video producing, that sort of stuff, that's obviously going to apply. But one of the first videos I was working on, like that, like they were like training me with, they're like, this is one we're working on right now, and this is like, they requested a bunch of rewrites. Like for example, we're not allowed to use the term like realtor, and I'm like, yeah, because realtor's a protected term, and like you can be an agent but not a realtor if you're not, or like if you're a part of the National Association of Realtors, then you're a realtor, but you can be an agent and not be a realtor.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, we should just give this project to you. Like, you know this way better than we do. Like, you just want to like be the producer of this one? This is the one that will like. I'm like, okay, sure, cool.
And like I said, man, I want to support you. Like, I want to know what you're up to. I want you to I want you to check in. I want to still know what you're doing. Like I want to still be able to reach out and say hey and things like that. So let's build those channels.
Yeah.
I know you're not on the. I know you're not huge on the social media thing. Like I mean, or maybe you are, and we're just not connected because you were trying
No.
to keep that employer barrier there. But now that it's not like that, then connect with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Type thing.
I don't use social media that much just because like of a lot of the stuff I do for you where I'm like going behind the scenes and doing like targeted advertising and that sort of thing made me really nervous about doing stuff on social media. Like I have my own like separate like personal profiles and stuff, but I get on there like once every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like retweet like one thing. Like but yeah, I definitely want to like maintain contact because like with this one that I'm working on right now where it's like, okay, I'm doing something for like a real estate agency.
You got to consult me.
Yeah, I was like, I should call Scott, like ask him like what he thinks about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. If I ever can be of any value to you for as long as you need it, just let me know.
yeah. No, it's like, and they're like disappointing things about leaving. Like I have a friend who's like looking to buy a house and he's like, oh, this is like kind of my budget. This is what I'm looking for. And then it was the one in Radford I did recently where it was priced under 200,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I can tell my friend about this, like, and I can like let him know, like, hey, be ready, like, make sure like all your paperwork's filled out.
Yeah.
Make sure like, because as soon as this thing goes up, it's gonna like people are gonna start bidding on it. So, and I'm like bummed now that since I'm leaving, I'm not gonna be able to like give him the inside scoop and be like, hey, you should, like, this one's coming up. Make sure you're ready.
Well, all you got to do is tell him to call me.
Yeah.
I give him the inside scoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely will. Like, I'm like excited for him too because he really wants to stay in the area, and he was one of those people where like he did move to Richmond to do like art and be an artist, and now he's moved back here and he's like an artist here. And he actually before COVID happened, I don't know if you saw like there's like that whole like little children's like universe area in the mall.
Yeah.
Over in Christiansburg.
Yeah.
There's some big art exhibit that like lifts up little balls and stuff like that, and they come like spinning down. It's really cool, and he ended up working on that, and I don't know, that like has me excited because it's somebody who like could have gone off somewhere else, but instead is doing
Love that. I
crazy
mean, those
cool
are the
stuff.
stories. Those are the stories. Like, those are the great stories of the person that thought that they got to go get away to achieve their goal and realize that they would rather sacrifice some things monetarily or financially to be in the space that they love.
Yeah.
And
it was that he was making more money, but then he was like, you know what? These people don't really care about me. Like, they're paying me more because they know like I'm worth more. But if I go back home, like I know there are people who will pay me less, but like take good care of me. Like with you, like every Christmas, like you always like gave like a huge bonus. You're always like, hey, here's an extra like $200 or $300. Like, amazing. Like that's the kind of stuff I wouldn't expect from a lot of other companies.
Yeah.
Like, which is.
I hope there's a little bit of an advantage, or people that come onto my organization, they feel like I care for them.
Yeah.
I feel like that I want them to be able to achieve whatever they're looking to achieve in their life, and help me get to my goals, and we all rise together.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So did you felt that way?
Oh, for sure.
Cool.
Like, and not just for things like, okay, like I was telling you earlier, like, yeah, right before I was like handing my resignation, you were like being like, hey, can I help you with your personal projects? You're always like giving like extra pay around like Christmas, and you were very like giving in terms of like raises. Sure, it felt like what I deserved, but you weren't like aggressive or mean about haggling. And I have like lots of friends who have like, they've tried to negotiate for higher raises, and like the companies have straight up gotten mean with them.
Yeah.
Like, and you were never like that. You're like, all right, this is what I can afford. Like, you're worth more, but this is what I can afford.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's reasonable. And it was always very professional. And,
I mean, employers always feel like the employees are selfish.
yeah.
And vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of organizations, the employers think that the CEO is greedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't ever want that. I want to pay fair wages. Honestly, I want to pay more than fair wages if I can get there.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to pay you. I'd love to pay everybody in the $20 an hour range. There's just something, you have to look at the market though. You have to look at the market and what's available and pay a fair wage. So that's all I want to do is the fair wage. But you certainly gave me better talent than what I paid you, for sure. There's no doubt about that.
And it's not even just about the money. Like when like the pandemic first hit, like I had like lots of friends who were still expected to go into work, and you like, despite your own personal beliefs, which like are evident, like wearing a mask and you're not, you were like, yeah, absolutely, work from home. And it wasn't your decision for me to come back in and work here. It was my own, because I was like, I can't be as productive working from home. Yeah. But like you like let me come to that decision on my own, and you were like very understanding and willing to let everybody work from home. So
tell me how you felt about some of the content and some of the things I would say about that, because I know you have heavy beliefs that differ from mine, and when I took a crap on mask, how did you feel about that? Be honest. Like because I'm a denier of that. I don't, the guidance we were given, I spit in the face of. Like I don't, there's too much waffling and too much hypocrisy, and I just don't. I don't think that's the way. Or why haven't we been doing that for 30 years after they've done these mass studies on infectious diseases? So like, I don't ever want to see when I would say stuff like that, I would then feel bad because I knew I just probably dumped on you, and I didn't want that, but I was too strong in my beliefs in it to not let the public know where I stood. Yeah. So at least you knew where I stood. Right. Yeah. But how did that feel?
Oh, so frustrating. Yeah. Like so frustrating. Like especially for something like that, because it's like, all right, you know what? Maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's all made up. But like, it's such a minor inconvenience to me. Like it's like, and the countries that like were like China, where they have like a culture that is like, yeah, of course we wear masks because we're packed into like fucking trains like sardine cans, and like transmission is really easy. Like they all wear masks, and like their rates were lower. But honestly, I wasn't like so much frustrated with you so much as I was that like, man, why are there these arguments out there? Yeah. Like you're like spitting in the face of like a lot of the recommendations, and it's like, well, yeah, but like I don't necessarily trust the CDC either, like, because it came out that like a lot of things, like the CDC was trying to say a lot of things about like, oh, like should we regulate like singing in churches and stuff like that during COVID times, and they ended up not doing that, even though they thought they should, because there was pressure from like Trump and stuff like that to not do that. But
I felt like this was the beginning of the control measures to rip freedom away. That's where I was coming from. Is they're only going to do as much as you allow them to do. And all of it is leading up to, and I brought it up yesterday. I said, what do you feel about the vaccine passport? I don't know if you've been seeing that in the news cycle, but that's starting to be talked about in the mainstream. And where that will lead is to, who knows, but evil exists. And that could be used to do things to, and you're a big privacy guy. So that could lead to the things that I think me and you could both agree we don't want.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, if the alternative is like Americans aren't allowed to leave the country, not because of American imposed like regulations, but because other countries are like, are you kidding? You guys have the highest COVID rates of anywhere in the world. Like, no, we're not accepting American citizens. And then America's like, what if we do this passport thing?
I'm talking about intercountry. This is intercountry. This is
you don't need a passport to go around.
That's what they're thinking. They're thinking. Yeah, that's what you're going to have to do to go into concerts and baseball games and things like that. I mean, you're going to have to get into big events with multiple people, with thousands of people. Then you're going to have the I've been vaccinated QR code.
Well, I mean,
isn't that wild though?
Well, I mean, I don't even believe that that's real, because how would they do that? Like checkpoints at every road? Like how many roads are there?
You know how they come in and they take your ticket now and they scan your ticket? They scan your ticket, and like if you go into a Virginia Tech game and you got a ticket, they've got people lined up, they've got security, they've got the ticket taker scanner person. They're just going to do that with your ticket and your phone.
But there's so many roads like between Virginia and like Ohio, for example. Like how?
Oh, I'm talking about just to get into events. They're not going to be able to be like on the road, like you're going to the toll booth.
Okay, I thought you were talking
they're not going to be a toll booth there, but when you get there, they're gonna bring that, and I'm speculating a little bit, but what I would imagine is that to get into any place you want to go that has more than the safe number, whatever that is going to be, you'll have to bring out your proof of vaccination to be a part of it.
So what's the rationale against that? Is that like, the government just doesn't want...
It's going to exclude people that didn't get the vaccination.
So they're trying, but the idea is like, okay, they want not like anti-vaxxers to just not have fun. Like that's the reason they're doing it.
Or restrict the things that they can do.
But they don't make any money for that.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make them any money. Like, I just don't understand the rationale behind, like, okay, what does that do for them, though, besides make people mad?
Make people feel safe. It's either it's an authoritarian type of situation. They want to control the masses.
Right.
They want, and this is that tinfoil hat type stuff, but they the global elite want to control the masses,
Right, but there are, like, much more effective ways of doing that, like social media. There was, like they have... there was you should watch a documentary that just came out on Netflix. It's called like coded bias or something like that, and it was all about how basically like the algorithms on things like Facebook and like Instagram and stuff have gotten so good that they can figure out what kind of person you are, and they can be like, this person has never gambled before, but based on the way they use social media, they are a compulsive gambler. So they wait until like, okay, tax season, they just got their tax refund, and then they target them with like ads for like cheap flights to Las Vegas. Like they're
or
DraftKings
commercials.
Yeah, exactly. Like just like, oh yeah, just get yourself involved in this, because they like, and these like computer algorithms have figured out like, oh yeah, these are the type of people that will make these other people the most money. Like that stuff terrifies me. But like scanning my thing like at a football game, like, I mean, if the science says that it's like a risk of like transmitting diseases,
I'll send you some things that I've seen, because that's just a precursor to loading up, payment processing. It's just going to be a layer. It's just going to be, you're going to be stacking 10 layers on top of, this thing that they're creating to track everybody.
I mean, but like they can are you talking about with the COVID stuff?
Or? Yeah,
but they can already track us through our phones.
but there's ways to navigate without that.
I couldn't give up my phone.
Well, I'm just saying you can cut your phone off. If you don't want them tracking you, there's ways to still navigate life without being tracked. There's VPNs. There's other things out there that can.
Sure.
That
yeah.
can
like
do
I
that.
pay for like a VPN on my phone and on my laptop and stuff like that. But like, heck, like most people like do their taxes and like pay their rent and like all sorts of stuff on their phone. It's pretty hard to give that up now.
Yeah.
Like how could you do your job if you were disconnected from like the banking system?
Nope.
Yeah.
I think people just need to be aware. Pretty much. I just want people to wake up. Wake up, and just be aware of what the people want to. I mean, what the people in power or that have major influence are saying in public.
Right.
I feel like people want to discount too many people that actually are willing to tell you exactly what they want to do to you, or what they want to take from you. Those people need to be taken seriously. It's not one of those like, oh, that can never happen. That's never going to happen. Oh, that's never going to happen.
No, like it absolutely can happen, and it already is happening. But like, it just seems like that's a weird hill to die on. Like, I get the whole like, all right, it's not about like the masks. It's about the principle. It's about like they told you to jump and you said how high.
Yeah.
But like, people are dying because of COVID.
I don't know that they're dying because they're not masking. That's the thing, is that the mortality rate. If you're looking at the mortality rate, and I don't want this. I didn't want to get into a debate here with you on our last show, but if we're looking at data and like yesterday's show, let's move in our life with probability and statistics and facts over emotion, right? And that's where I was coming from. That's where I was coming from, is the leaders that are in charge and giving us the advice have flip-flopped every step of the way. They've given us inaccurate information, in my opinion. They're trying to fear us into these control measures that don't affect people's mortality, that will not cause humanity to disappear if we decide to mask or not. And that's where I stand. Like again, individual thing. Don't mandate the masses into a control measure that's not effective. If you feel like you need the mask, I respect the fact, and I would never come at an individual to say you're stupid. You know, I would say that the people telling you that this is a necessary measure for us all to comply with, that's stupid. That's stupid. That's counterproductive, because when you demand things of this culture, you always get pushed back.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, but remember, like, vaccines aren't mandatory, and like masks may be mandatory inside businesses, but businesses don't enforce it. Like, I have a friend who works at Taco Bell, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're not allowed to kick people out." Like, from corporate, we have been told, like, if someone comes in without a mask, you're not even allowed to tell them, like, you have to leave or wear a mask. Like, you have to do nothing.
Gotcha.
So
again, a rule that's not enforceable, or enforceable to the point of, like, you know, I've seen videos of people getting like body slammed and like gang attacked in stores because they haven't complied. So it's wild.
yeah.
You know, I just think it should be an individual decision.
Oh, do you need to leave?
Okay, I'll be out of here in a second.
Oh, okay. We can also continue this like tomorrow morning if you want. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the gist of it is, you know, we got the gist of it. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for the time that you gave me.
Yeah.
The work that you did. Started from the bottom and now we're here, and you set me up for a good future. You set me up there, and you'll always get that credit. And if we blow this up, I'm gonna feel bad if we blow this up and we start making like Meet Kevin. We start making Meet Kevin numbers. Like, we'll have to find a way to get you back.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah,
cool, man. Well, good luck to you. And if I'm always here for you.
Thank you, Scott.